Welcome to the Real Estate Show on KMED, AM and FM this weekend of July 18th. Pete Belcaster and Joe Brett, the real estate guys with you. You know, we get together with you once a week here on KMED to talk about all sorts of things related to real estate in Jackson and Josephine counties. My goodness, 2015, it's been a busy 6 months as we start the second half of the year in July. I mean, I just look around and, Jim Ramley from John L. Scott, they did, 300 transactions in a month? Yeah. $77 million of real estate in a month. I mean, that's just amazing. That's how it is. And of course, it's a seller's market continuing. The inventory available is down to a 2.3 month supply. What that means is that if every realtor stopped taking listings, and everything would be sold out and be empty in 2 months.
And usually we have a 6 month supply as a stable normal market.
So what is it? I mean, there's a lot going on, but the inventories remain low, and that's the reason the prices are high, and that's the reason that the increases in values are going on at 2% a month, at 12% last year. That's 2% a month, and that, as you know, is unsustainable. But boy, and then you hear people. I mean, we heard from Lennox Scott the other day, and Brad Bennington's going to say the same thing here. They see this thing's going to go on for a number of years. So that's very, very interesting information. Brad Bennington.
They've won you over on
that. They have. I mean, I don't know why I can't argue against it anymore. I mean, I don't know. Anyway, Brad Bennington is the CEO of the Home Builders Association of Jackson County. HBAJC.com is where you can find their website and a lot of information on their members and everything else. But Brad is here. Nice to see you here in mid-July.
Yes. Nice to see you, intelligent, good-looking guys, too, and all your listeners out there. Oh, wait, I can't see them, but okay, yeah.
They're out there, though.
They're out there,
know
though,
that, yeah.
Yeah, tons of them.
Brad's like a good well. He's primed and ready to go.
Yeah, it was always, like I say, he's probably one of the most knowledgeable guys in terms of how everything runs and works in real estate, because he's got the planning experience on the Jackson County, which is like well, we'll find out more about that, because Kelly Madden will be here at the end of August, and we'll catch up her on that with you, by the way, on the show again. So there's a lot going on.
You got
to
join us for that show. That'd be great.
He is. Absolutely, he is. It's the next HBA show.
That's a natural.
They were on last year together, actually, so we remember that.
Yeah, no, Kelly is a real blessing to our county. I'll tell you, that's one of the people wonder why our county, Oregon has 36 counties, and a lot of them are not in very good shape financially. Frankly. And ours, I mean, if you look at our cash reserves, if you look at our capitalization, if you look at how our county is run, we really are head and shoulders above so much of the rest of Oregon. And it's because they hire good, smart people like Kelly. We've got, for the most part, we've got great department heads. There's a couple I don't like very well, but I'm not going to.
But you're not a commissioner.
I'm not a commissioner, and I'm not going to tell you who they are. But no, we really do have a very well-run county, and we're lucky to have such good county commissioners.
Especially the biggest reason, part of the big reason that these other counties are in trouble is that Jackson County has a $2.40 per tax rate per thousand on county for the county. Yeah. The other, Josephine County, Curry County, I mean, 59 cents.
You get what you pay for.
And that's what's happening. And real estate is affected by both of those areas. That's what I think we found in the statistics. You look how Jackson County is just doing this bubble, and you go to Josephine County, and it's just a little bitty bump,
prices,
isn't it?
Everything
different.
It just lags behind.
Yeah. Well, so tell us about home building and where we're at here mid-July.
Yeah.
I mean, I could say when we started our show, 6 years ago now, we're in the 6th year, there was no home building, and boy, have things changed.
You should probably be out with a hammer, not here talking on the radio.
Well, actually, I was a little bit earlier in the day. I actually had, honest to gosh, blue collar tools in my hands.
Really?
Yeah.
What were you doing? You were fixing the what? What were you doing?
Well,
that's really where you came from.
We've got a house that we just completed. Our Home Builders Association builds a house once a year, and then we sell it. And we needed a little bit of work up there, and everybody else was so busy I couldn't find anybody else to do it, so I went and did it. And I actually went and worked with, honest to gosh, blue collar.
Good job.
Of course, I mean, I have tools that are older than most people, so it's because I'm old.
That is my kind of CEO.
Yeah,
right
and you
there.
and you remembered how to do
it. Yes.
And I did it. And did you sell this house, by the way? Because this is one of what I like about the home builders is that they're very entrepreneurial and they don't use tax dollars, obviously.
No,
but you raise money and do it yourself. So you build a house in Eagle Point, right?
Yeah.
And did you sell it? Tell us about that.
We haven't sold it yet. It's a beautiful 1,633 square foot house, 504 Sienna Hills Drive, solid hardwood floors, granite countertops, huge backyard, beautiful view of Mount McLaughlin, $249,900.
$249,900
is what it's listed for. And brand new, built by one of the best builders in Southern Oregon, Martinoff. Absolutely wonderful house. Going to be a great house for somebody.
See, and they put it, Joe, right in the middle of that price range, that $250,000, which is, remember, $200,000 to $300,000 is the top price range in sales in the county. So you have that right smack right in the middle.
Yeah. And one of the things that a lot of people don't think about that much is, they just see a house and they go, okay, a house is like any other house. But what's really cool is when you really start looking at the science behind the new homes compared to the homes, like the homes that we grew up in, back in the 50s and 60s, 2x4 walls, no insulation. I remember the first house my wife and I bought over in Klamath Falls. In Klamath Falls, you guys know the weather over there gets a little cool sometimes. Mm-hmm. And this old house that we bought, it was started in 1908, finished in 1910, had no insulation in it, single pane windows. And you had to run in the wintertime, if it got down to like, 15, 20 degrees, which is pretty normal over there, that heater would run all day long, to try and keep the house warm. But the homes that we're building nowadays, the science behind the construction has been refined and adapted to the point where it just they're so efficient to heat and to cool. We've got solar panel installation that's available now. If you there's what they call the zero impact home, which actually gathers enough solar energy that you actually wind up selling energy back to the power company. The homes actually create more electricity than they use.
Do you see many people doing that?
Well, we sure see a lot more doing it than they used to. One of our members, True South Solar, they are so busy, they're backlogged. If you called them up today, and if you're down there in Ashland and you said, "Hey, I want a solar array quote from my house," they say, "Well, we can get to you. We can come look at your house maybe in about 2 weeks," because it's such a popular thing, and there's tax credits for it. There's the products. This isn't cutting edge technology anymore. This is pretty well settled technology.
And hasn't that been the biggest change, I think, since you've been coming on our shows? I think that probably is the biggest change in home building that we've seen. Is people more interest in. Well, the construction of the homes at the minimum now are what it used to be like a top grade.
Yeah.
In insulation and energy efficiency. Remember that now, the minimum I guess it's the minimum standards have been raised, right? In home building for construction. Yeah. At the minimum house you build now is going to have a lot of those features, correct?
Yeah. When a person buys a new home today that's built according to the current code standards, they are getting a home that, even the least expensive home that they can buy is built so much better than the finest home was built 10 years ago.
Yes.
They're just the insulation products and materials, the electronics that go into a home, the safety features that go into a home are just, head and shoulders. And because of the kind of funny price thing that's going on, we're in a transitional stage. We've talked about this a lot before, so we're not going to talk a lot about it now. But some of the best buys in home construction right now are brand new homes that are either being built or being finished right now. And I'll just tell you, anybody that's interested in getting a new home, get on it right now, because there are some fantastic deals on beautiful new homes out there, and you don't want to let these pass you by.
No, and they're going to be more expensive down the road.
Oh,
and
boy, howdy.
Also, think of those savings that are built into buying a new home, and the savings in utilities and the comfort and the factors that go into that with these new amenities and these new features. That almost sways the value of a home that is brand new, a home that's similarly priced that's maybe 15, 20 years old.
Right.
Holy smokes, down the road, the savings and the cost efficiency of that home really kind of sway you in the direction of the new home.
Well, we never tell anybody to buy a home as an investment vehicle. We have investors that do that, but you don't tell someone who needs a home, well, buy a home and use it as an investment vehicle, because I don't think that's good advice, but we all need somewhere to live. But this is true. It's just like buying a good anything else. If you buy something that's made with quality and valuable construction techniques, it's going to hold its value better down the road than something that's not. Mm-hmm. And when you're talking about new construction versus, 10, 15, 20-year-old construction, when you get another 20 years down the road, there's going to be a huge difference in the cost of ownership and also residual value. For instance, for those of us who are a little older, like me, if my wife and I went out and bought a home that we're going to plan to be in for the next 20 years. At the end of 20 years, we're probably going to be looking at a nursing home or something like that. I mean, it's just that I don't like to think about that, but that's the reality. So we want a home that is not going to lose a lot of value over the next 20 years. So we want to build something that has the best technology possible. So number one, we have lower cost of operation, right? And also we want that home to hold its value better. So do I want a home that has old T111? And I'm not looking at anybody in particular, but do I want a home that has old T111 siding on it? Or do I want a home that has nice concrete siding on it that's going to look good for 30 years and all I got to do is throw a little paint on it once in a while? So that's where we're at. You want something that's going to be in there for the long run. So the other thing is that on the appraisal side, you have real estate, and that's the dirt that you guys sell people. And then the house that you build, that's called the improvement, right? Mm-hmm. Well, how that improvement is done has an effect on what it's worth, on what that asset's worth, how long it's going to last, and just a lot of things, including this thing called comfort, right? Because at the end of the day, don't you want to be comfortable in your own home? Well, the new homes are quieter. If you go inside a new home, like what's one of the biggest, we talk about air pollution, not a lot of air pollution that we talk about nowadays, but there's noise pollution, right? So we live in a noisy world out there.
Oh, you're talking about my ceiling fans in my 1976 house in Southwest Medford in my bathrooms that I can hear. Yeah, I can hear outside across the street.
Yeah. So the new homes they're quieter, and the floors don't squeak, and the windows don't rattle when the cars drive by, and they're just they're a delight to live in. Unfortunately, most of the reasons that products are going up are legislative reasons. They're
surprise there.
Yeah. Well, for instance, the Oregon legislature passed a law that said we're going to have this energy tax that's going to be applied to every product in Oregon, right? It's a fuel tax basically. So any product in Oregon is going to cost more money just because of this tax that the Oregon legislature passed.
So they just make that up? It's just an
Is this the carbon fuel?
Tax.
The carbon fuel tax, the big controversy that came out of the session.
It was the first bill that Governor Kate Brown signed after she became governor. Was this carbon tax thing? And the really unfortunate thing about that, of course, is that not one single penny of that tax money stays inside Oregon. It all goes to companies outside of Oregon.
I didn't even know that. Okay.
So anyway, we've got cost drivers that are elevating the cost of products that we can't do anything about. We just have to live with them. But the good news is that right now the cost, guys, we were talking about that on the show the other day. Interest rates are just dirt cheap right now. I mean, we all remember back in the early 1980s when interest rates were over 20%. Remember that? Yeah. I mean, kids today can't believe it.
Thank God I lived in a dorm room at that time.
Yeah. Yeah, but interest rates were over 20%. Prime was it was insane, and eventually that calmed down a little bit.
Well, as long as these interest rates stay this way, new construction is going to continue to boom because you can afford it, right? I mean, it's new construction. You look at the interest rates on them, and they're really good now.
Yeah, so I want to illustrate a story about real estate, but I'm going to use a car to do it. And it's the difference between the value of money and the value of something else. So I used to, back when times were good, I used to buy a new pickup every couple of years. And the last one I had was the 2007 Crew Diesel that I bought from Dollar. And I sold it in 2010 for $33,500. I bought it for $50,000, drove it for 3 years, sold it for $33,500, I think, something like that. I was checking prices the other day, and that same 2007 pickup, if I still had it, would book for $33,000.
Wow.
Now, why is that? That's insane, right? Well, until you look at what a new pickup costs. So that same Crew Diesel that I bought for $50,000 back then is now
going for
$70,000.
Yeah.
Now, is that vehicle really worth that much more money? No, it's not. But the money is worth less. See, that's what's changed. That's why people that are smart are looking at real estate right now and saying, you know what, if I have access to this much credit, money on credit, I might be better off converting that into real estate instead of buying something else with it, right?
Yes.
And that's what we have. People from outside the United States and people from outside area, they're buying land here in Oregon for that very reason. The land is worth more than the money and probably is going to become more valuable. This land is going to become more valuable as we go down the timeline because of certain things that are going on in the financial world, not just here, but internationally.
And that goes back to the the Chinese coming into the West Coast now, infecting Portland, Seattle,
you bet.
Bay Area, and it's filtering down into our area as well.
And our legislature is going to pass more energy taxes that have no benefit to our citizens or to our state, and it's going to just kind of set the table for them.
Oregon, before our last legislative session, according to the United States Chamber of Commerce, I believe it's a report I read, it was a second number 2 business unfriendly state in the United States. So there's only one state that was worse than us. And after this last legislative session, I think we're going to be. I think we're going to be number 1. I think we're going to be the most business unfriendly state in the union.
We don't have a very good reputation nationwide as the state of Oregon.
That'll be a good topic next week with Frank about that. If we're going to go to the 50th and business friendly state. Hey, the Real Estate Show. We're with Brad Bennington, the CEO of the Home Builders Association of Jackson County, here on the Real Estate Show. Don't forget you can watch our shows at realestateshoworegon.com. Real Estate Show rolls on here on KMED, AM and FM, July the 18th. Pete Belcaster and Joe Brett, the Real Estate Guys, with you. Hope your summer is going along well and you stay cool this weekend. And, of course, real estate moving along. Lots of activity going on. As we say, lock boxes, information coming with that. We're with Brad Bennington, the CEO of the Home Builders Association of Jackson County, here on the Real Estate Show today. And, you know, one of the things, we were looking at those statistics, that 6 months, we talked about how busy 2015 was, for real estate and the sales, all these offices, a lot of activity going on. But when you look at the home building side of that thing, Joe, was actually down. There were fewer homes that were sold through the MLS in 2015, the first 6 months, than a year ago. That seemed kind of odd to me, Brad. But I guess there's a reason. I mean, it makes sense when you think about that and break it down a little bit.
Yeah. Well, once you've sold all the cars off the lot, there's fewer cars to choose from, and the rate of sales goes down a little bit.
And that's what we're seeing. Do you guys see that lots are we building? What, are we out of lots? Or we still have enough? Tell me what's going on with that.
We've got lots. You just have to really pay for them.
Yeah.
So the prices have gone up. I mean, those $49,000 lots in Vista Point are kind of gone. Is what you're saying, right?
That's a big hit on your margins and your final line too.
Yeah. Well, the cost of the dirt is the single largest cost, in the house, in your spreadsheet on your house. The good news is here in Southern Oregon is we have enough buildable land, for the foreseeable future. So that's good.
Okay.
But there's a difference in buildable land and buildable lots, right? Because there's this period of time and a certain amount of money that needs to be invested to get all this nice land over here to where you can actually build a house on it and get services to it and sidewalks in and streets and all this stuff. Which, by the way, people think, I just need to get this in real quick. People that watch all these roads and all this expensive work being done and all this heavy yellow equipment, they think that the city does it or the state does it no, the builders pay for that.
Mm-hmm. Right.
That's all.
It's your systems development charges. Is that what you're talking about there?
No, that's on top of it.
On top of it.
No, that's on top of that. When you sell all these streets and everything, because the city and the county, they say, well, we don't have money for that kind of stuff. If you wealthy developers want to go put all these subdivisions
here are the standards by which you have to do it.
That's right, and we're gonna.
So the private money goes in. It has to do all the improvements.
Right. You
put it all in.
You wealthy developers driving around drinking your lattes and what Of course, I'm being funny here. Yeah. But the reality is that all that really, really expensive stuff, that's all paid for on the front end by the developers.
Right, up front.
And all the SDCs get paid for on the front end by the developers. And this is why it takes an unbelievable amount of money and a pretty fair amount of time to get these big chunks of land developed where you can actually make subdivisions out of them, to build nice houses for people. So, all the way from 2008 through about 2013, there was no reason to do anything, right?
Yeah.
But now there is.
Well, How much the Southwest Medford plan, that was eventually going to become 10,000 units, and we got, about 2,500 into it. How much of the potential and the available land is within that area there?
Yeah, I can't give you an intelligent answer to that. I can say that if you look at Southern Oregon as a whole, we're in good shape. But to comment on one specific thing, probably can't. One of the things that our leaders did that was pretty smart was we engaged in what they called regional problem solving. Mm-hmm. And regional problem solving, what we did, because the main grand poobahs for this whole thing and planning are up in Salem, right? Because they're the LCDC. Mm-hmm. They have the big hammer over the whole state. For better, for worse. So anyway, regional problem solving is a bunch of the communities got together and said, hey, how about if we sort of sort this out among ourselves, and then, oh, great state of Oregon, would you please take a look at it and give it your official stamp of approval if it's okay with you? And so we did, and they did, and they did. And so for the most part, we've got a lot of that sorted out. If you want to talk about people that are having a lot of trouble, you go up and talk to Portland Metro. They can't even develop a postage stamp size lot up there without going through 5 different jurisdictions. And I mean, the poor people, those guys that work up there, I mean, God bless them. It's just, I think they go to work every day with a bottle of aspirin on one side and a bottle of Pepto-Bismol on the other. It's
we can
terrible.
have an interesting conversation about how the sprawl of the Portland area up there has impacted the rural area, the rural lands around Portland. I mean, you talk about where you're going to develop and where you're going to go. We really done it pretty smart here, and I will say that I Joe was involved. I know a lot more than the regional problem solving than I was, but it seemed to have stabilized ourselves here. We know where we're going to go, where we're going to grow, and those kinds of things.
And it gave us a chance to identify the balance between the agricultural lands. We have forest-urban interface. We have all kinds of these unique situations to our communities and to our valley here, and it really helped us kind of synthesize all of that and have a good plan to go forward.
Well, you got, Pete mentioned earlier, you guys know that I sit on Planning Commission as well, and I can tell you that we have good leadership at county, at the highest level of county. We have good leadership, and we don't just have good leadership, we have good implementation, right? Because you can have all the good standards that you want, but if you have these good standards, but if you don't have wise implementation, then you're kind of missing on that side. So we're really lucky down here. We've got good leadership, we've got good standards, and we've got smart people to make all this happen.
Okay, what have you seen, Brad, since you're on the Planning Commission and even City Council in Jacksonville? What are you seeing? Are you seeing developers continue to come in, or have we stopped that? I mean, they came in for a while. Everybody there was a bunch of bankruptcy developments. Who's coming before the Planning Commission right now? Is anybody coming in there? What are they seeking right now?
Yeah. Well, the answer to your question is we do have developers coming in from outside of our market, but they're what I would call friendly developer or friendly neighbors. These are companies coming down mostly from Central Oregon Bend. We've got Hayden Homes coming down from Bend, Polish Homes coming down from Bend. And they were able to get some investor money put together and come down and buy some of the property that needed to get developed down here that had gone back to lenders. So, and these are great companies that we're happy to have. One of the things about Oregon that's kind of different is that when you're talking about commercial scale home developing, like companies like Lennar, for instance. They don't come to Oregon because they can't buy enough product to make it worth their time to even come here. They can't find enough land. I mean, that's how tough Oregon is on land development. These big developers don't even come to Oregon because they can't buy enough property in one chunk to even make it worth it to come here.
And personally, I'm okay with that. Yeah. I seriously, I mean, I don't want to see I see what my son just bought a house, in Texas, and Houston. You talk about developments that are sprawl. I mean, it's unbelievable what you see there.
He's got a beautiful house for $156,000. You paid $250 here for.
Okay, but that's Texas. In Oregon, you bet. I mean, for 40 years now, we've had these laws, and quite frankly, if those guys don't come, it's okay. There's enough good builders locally to take care of the thing. Here's a question for you, Brad. Why are we not seeing any apartment buildings going in and investing in our valley? I mean, there is such a housing shortage, rentals and things like that. That it just seems that nobody. Why is nobody? Is there nothing out there? Have you seen anything come through the cities or the planning commissions? And any of this is. Nothing is there.
Well, there's kind of this invisible development that a lot of people don't notice. It's done by the Jackson County Housing Authority. Jackson County Housing Authority builds about 120 units a year.
Wow. Yeah.
And what happens is they'll go in and they'll make an application to acquire a piece of property, and they're funded. They're a quasi-governmental agency. They're not really governmental.
That's low-income housing for Jackson County Housing Authority, right?
It's lower-income housing. And Pete, the unfortunate reality is that according to an article done by Greg Stiles here about maybe 4 months ago, we have a majority of people living here in Jackson County who fit the property profile.
I mean, property profile. Really?
We don't like to admit that, but the reality is that we have one of the largest gaps between median wage and cost of housing in the entire United States here.
Mark Von Holly comes to mind right now.
And
he's been preaching that to us.
Listen to what you're saying, yet look at what's happening around us in terms terms of sales and the kinds of activity.
And
what's driving it? We're talking about this. Where are the jobs? How can people?
Those are all
housing
people from mostly out of our area.
But even if it's,
up those homes.
I mean,
Right.
the housing you're talking about, those are all income qualified types of things. But what about the people who can't find an apartment anywhere? I mean, duplexes. I just don't see any of that really being built in this supposed boom that we're having. I see a lot of homes. No question. I see them up in East, and they're all in East Medford, aren't they? I mean, they're really, seriously, they're all in East Medford.
When will the market shift and some of that multi-family housing maybe come into play?
Yeah. Well, of course, when you're talking to me, we're going to talk mostly about new construction. So on the new construction side, the vast majority is people moving here from California. That's our, that's our main market.
You're going to have to, and it is. You're going to have to hold that thought there, Brad, because
I'm
it
holding
is.
it.
I'm holding it the second time.
That's a heavy thought.
That was a heavy thought. Because when we come back, we're going to talk to you also about a big event the home builders have coming up in September, which is really right around the corner from us right now.
And the July extravaganza for John L. Scott.
Well, that's coming up on July 27th. That's anyway. At the Real Estate Show here on KMED, we're coming right back after this. The Real Estate Show continues here on KMED this weekend, July the 18th. Pete Belcastro with you. Thanks for joining us, and hope your summer's going along well. Next week here on the Real Estate Show, we'll got another show heading for your way with Frank Mania. He's from Ticor Title. He's been on our show before. We're going to give you an update on what's going on economically and jobs and business activity around the Rogue Valley, because business activity is so important for jobs and wages, and people who are working can afford new homes and new construction, as we talk about here with Brad Bennington, the CEO of the Home Builders Association of Jackson County. It's really true, isn't it? You got to have jobs in order to create money, to create wealth, to build something new, don't you?
Yeah, jobs somewhere.
You got to have jobs. Yeah, you guys got to have them.
Yeah, Pete, you and I are, maybe a little bit on the older side. Of course, you look younger than I do, but you got that kind of boyish face thing going on. God, I hate you, Pete. I really. But back when we were kids, we had a resource-based economy, and when we graduated high school, you could go out and get a job, and you could earn enough money to support the debt on a house, buy a couple cars, take your wife out to eat.
You could become a middle-class person. I mean, you had a job, and it was good wages, and you had those things.
But all that's changed, and we have a service-based economy now. And so the good news is Southern Oregon's a beautiful place that people want to retire in. So we have all of our friends moving up from California. They're bringing high amounts of disposable income. The joke a few years ago was, move to Oregon and bring your money with you, because you're not going to find a job.
There were no jobs to find, but you had to come up here you're pre-wealthy in order to come into our state.
So
that's really true.
So we've got a lot of our wonderful friends from California that have moved here and brought their money up here, and they found a wonderful place to retire and live. And we're happy to build homes for them. And somewhere along the way, I think what's going to happen is we'll solve this problem of, what do we do for jobs for our young people? We've got really smart people working on it. And I think we'll solve that at some point. But right now, almost all the homes we're selling to people relocating from California.
Relocating from here. And these are the baby boomers who are coming through and retiring. And remember, you've got another almost 20 years of this to go through. So, they may be right. Lennox Scott may actually be right that he says this building and housing is going to continue for a number of years. There are little adjustments here along the way. But my thing is, as long as, if interest rates stay the way they are, they have to stay this low, or people could never afford these prices that are being charged and stuff. So they have an effect, isn't it? I mean, it's really an interesting time now.
Keep in mind about what we were talking about earlier, which is the fact that our land is worth more than the money we're buying it with. Right? Absolutely, So people have money, and you acquire this land at a certain price, and as you go further and further down the timeline, the cost of money, the value of money is likely to go down. I'm not saying anything that's revolutionary here. The value of the money is likely to go down, so the value of the property is going to continue to go up, which makes it a better investment to buy now than later.
And we're seeing that certainly in rural properties as well. Heck, the sheriff of Corey Falls was here a couple of weeks ago, and he said before he came down to do the show, he said he had talked with a couple who moved here from Illinois, because they can grow 4 plants of marijuana out on the rural property out somewhere in Jackson County. So there's lots of pressure on our rural properties with that, GMO vineyards. There's a lot of changes going on around us. Anyway, the home builders. I want to give you a chance to have you've usually in the past you've had 2 home shows, one in the spring, one in the fall, and this year the fall one is no longer active, but you've replaced it with a tour of homes. And
Yes.
so here's a chance to tell people what you got cooking, because this is very exciting to me. And you've partnered with a group that I think is really going to make this event in September you've got coming up pretty unique in the annals of home building in our county.
Yeah. Well, so everyone knows what an open house is, right? And you're driving down the street and you see a sign that says open house, and it means you can go and there's a realtor in there and you can look through the house and he'll give you a little handout, and you can go open and shut the doors a couple of times and look at the cabinets and, yippee. Mm-hmm. Well, a tour of homes is like that on steroids. So it's multiple homes. These are homes built by Southern Oregon's top builders with really cool features, really cool. Our sponsor is Technology Associates, Ron Wanless, who's really doing neat things in Technology Design Associates. And Ron just has an amazing ability to build what we call the connected home. You can actually wind up running the home from your smartphone. I mean, it's just really, really cool stuff. So Technology Design is going to be our presenting sponsor for that. And we're going to have blueprints of these homes online plus on-site. We've got lists of the subcontractors that contributed, the materials they use, a list of the appliances, the features. So when you look at these houses, I mean, it's really, you can just turn these things any way you want to look at them. You'll be able to compare the cost per square foot, compare the features. You're going to get to vote on which ones are that have a Public's Choice Award. Mm-hmm. So it's really going to be a wonderful opportunity. One thing that we know about people is people love looking at other people's homes.
People love looking at homes. Well, you get ideas, you get all sorts of things.
Yeah.
So this is going to be, is it just high-end homes, or tell me what the range of properties that you've already got them lined up, or you're getting them lined up? Yeah,
we're gonna have homes from the mid-twos on up into what we would call the near luxury range. I don't think we're going to have any super customs, because those aren't homes that most people would tend to live in anyway. Yeah. But everything that's in that livability envelope, we're going to have an example of that type of home where people can go and just really look at the floor plan, look at the materials, find out who the subcontractors were that worked on it, who the general contractor was that built it, what other subdivisions he's got, what types of price points of homes might be available. Mm-hmm. They'll be,
and are they all over, Brett? Where are they generally going to be at?
It's what we call a scattered site tour. We're going to have homes from Ashland all the way to Eagle Point. Okay. And we're going to try and have the homes in such a way that you're not going to have to drive more than 10 minutes between each home.
That's good. Cool.
But it's going to be fantastic.
And so people, how do they do this? They get a ticket, or how are you going to? How does this work?
Yeah. Well, we're going to have a publication probably come out in the Medford Mail Tribune, and then we'll also have it online as well. Okay. So you can actually go online if you want. You can follow the tour on your smartphone if you want. You can do it that way. Oh, cool. We'll have a printed guide that'll be out in the Medford Mail Tribune. You can do it that way if you want. Or if you want to come by our office and just get a map, we can do that as well. Okay. Really, there's a lot of different ways that you can take advantage of it.
Now, you said this type of event is pretty popular up in the Bend area, right? Central Oregon?
Yeah, Central Oregon Builders Association has done their event for 27 years, it's one of the most popular things. The people up there in Deschutes County just love it, and we think the people down here in Jackson County are going to love it too. Yeah. And they're co-producing this with us.
They're helping you do it.
They're helping us do it. Yeah, they're such nice people.
Yeah, that's great.
Almost as nice as you, Pete.
Yeah, and how many homes do you think you have on something like this, or out there? I guess.
Yeah, we've got a lot of homes out there on the tour. We're going to have. We're not quite sure how many that we're going to limit it to yet. We're probably going to have between 15 and 20 homes this time for our first year.
I can't wait. I'm going to go on that thing. I can't wait to see it. I'm curious. I'm interested in the materials and things like that builders are using today and make these houses so much efficiency. We're out of time. Brad Bennington, CEO of the Home Builders. Well, we'll see you soon. Okay, have a good summer. We'll see you next month here as well.
Good to see you guys.
Nice to see you as well. And I'll do it for our show. Don't forget, you can check our shows out at realestateshowOregon.com, or also our YouTube channel. Next week, we're here as well. We'll talk about economics and jobs. See you then.
Show on KMED AM and FM radio, presented by John L. Scott Real Estate of Southern Oregon, along with All Cities Property Management, the Home Builders Association of Jackson County, Ditech Mortgage, the Jackson Soil and Water Conservation District, and the Rogue Valley Association of Realtors. For guest information or to watch a past show, visit us online at realestateshowOregon.com. Join us again next weekend for Southern Oregon's one and only real estate